Good afternoon. We are live. Yes. It's good afternoon, Miranda.
We're still doing the Zoom thing of waving.
I know, I can't help it.
It's when you say goodbye, isn't it? You sit there for ages going bye.
Yeah, two hands usually.
It's always two hands to me.
Someone ends it. Oh, hi, Amber. Amber's with us.
Hello, Amber.
So we've got the gorgeous Miranda with us to kick off Autism Awareness Week. We thought we'd do something a little bit different, and we thought we'd bring you straight from the horse's mouths of autism. But you're not a horse, Miranda, obviously. So
I'm doing a good impression. Hi, David.
So Miranda, we all know the lovely Casper Miranda as a wonderful Casper Miranda, but very importantly, Miranda is also a mummy to a young man on the autistic spectrum.
I am, yes.
So we thought we'd get Miranda on to sort of give from a parent's point of view, what autism awareness for them would feel like. So we're just going to have a look at. You can feel free to ask questions. No questions are silly. We'd love to answer them between us all. We're going to be at different times. So, we really want to get the awareness out there, answer any questions, and really, you've got questions straight away, Miranda. Miranda, do you know when I can volunteer at TOTS again? We will sort you.
I will message you soon. Don't you worry about that, darling.
So, yes. So, Miranda.
Hi, Rebecca.
Can you tell us a little bit about your gorgeous young man?
I can. He is almost 12 now, and he was diagnosed towards the end of year 5. So it took nearly 2 years, pretty much 2 years, to get his diagnosis after being on the autism pathway in Kent. Yes, so he is a very bright young man. He's funny. He's caring. He's just a lovely young man. But he was struggling once he got his diagnosis. Well, he was struggling before that. Sort of year 4 became really hard, and year 5 it was more school related. Socially, he had his friends he'd grown up with at school and did all right. So and then things got hard, and we felt the school weren't necessarily meeting his needs as best they could. So my husband had done quite well that year, so we moved him to a private school for his final year, which because smaller classes and moving around, so you weren't with one teacher all day in case there were any clashes. We thought that would help, which it did. Initially, it was amazing. He was like a different young man. It was so gorgeous seeing him at the beginning. And then fast forward into the beginning of year 6, and he started to struggle. Someone told another boy he was on the spectrum. For me, I've worked with these young people for years. I've never thought it was, to me, it's just it is who you are. It's just part of who you are. It's not it can be challenging, but it's also an amazing thing, So trying to help him understand that, despite knowing that from growing up with me as his mum, he still found it hard, because then he started to be bullied. And that was the thing that kept coming up. You're autistic, you're a retard, all this horrible stuff. So he then started having a really difficult time, and it wasn't jumped on quick enough at his new school. They didn't quite get autism as much as I thought they would. It was a tricky one. So he started refusing school after the Christmas. Then we had the lockdown. And then, so then he started into year 7 to new secondary, massive school. He'd had all this stuff, which was really dealt with for him. CAMHS, well, he was re-referred to CAMHS. We've only just seen them. That's how long that took. So he's just, had a real tough old time. So he's been refusing more and more with secondary. but equally, you know, the school, his new school, being really supportive. You know, the pressure's off mostly. It's very much going with his pace. And there are little rays of hope. You know, I know he will be all right and get through this anxiety and this depression, which I think is what is going on for him. He can get through this. I know, and get back to himself. He'll be fine, and the school will be supportive. And I even heard him. So John and I walked with him and Theo yesterday to get a subway, we like to say, walked into Stanford Subway, and they were walking, chatting away behind us, which is a beautiful thing, because, you know, if they're not trying to kill each other, you're pretty lucky. So they were having a lovely conversation. John and I were like, oh my gosh, listen to them talking. You know, we're walking ahead pretending we're being all cool, but trying to earwig everything. And he was like, oh, talking about Theo, secondary school, and saying, oh, and it's really, oh, sorry, am I allowed to say that? That's where he was. It's a really good school, and I think we'll really like it there. And it was just so lovely hearing him talk about his future, about his brother's future, and in a positive way. Because, you know, things have been pretty dark for him, as those of you with kids that are suffering with depression and so on know. It gets pretty dark and scary anyway. So it's just, when you have those little moments, it's beautiful. Sadly, it's not at school today. We had terrible stomach pain for last night, so I'm really tired. Trying to help him all night, and yeah, so he didn't go because he's exhausted. But you know, each day is a new day. You just have to take it slowly. You know, 1 step forward, 10 steps back. But I know he will get there. So yeah, I don't know if I've gone around the houses, but that's where we are with Ben at the moment.
No, it's amazing.
No, yeah, and I think as well, what's really clear to highlight is Ben had to change. He went to secondary school within this lockdown, hasn't he?
Yeah. So he was refusing his new school because it took, you know, about 6 months before they finally put their foot down on the bully. And so it was too late. It was dealt with too late for him, and he started to refuse. So he wasn't really attending hardly before the lockdown. And during the lockdown, he was relieved, and actually it took the pressure off us to not have to keep trying to make him go, because there wasn't that understanding of, hang on. They did try and do things to help, but it, you know, they didn't. Yeah, they just didn't have the training, I think. But then we got this amazing lady coming and talk to them. Miss Dyer. Her surname is posh now, isn't it? Double-barreled, Helen.
I don't even remember it half the time.
But yeah, so I think that really helped wake them up a bit. And I just hope now that he's gone that they've, you know, bucked up their ideas and now really.
So what do you think, Miranda, is, you know, when you said earlier that the school kind of, a couple of the schools actually referred to, you know, weren't meeting his needs, and the school didn't really get autism. What do you think, from a parent's point of view, that the schools didn't get? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is it when you say they don't get autism?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just reading that comment.
I've put that up as your answer.
I've not heard that, but I like that. Yeah, it's true.
That's much further spectrum gaming.
Totally. Or anxiety based or whatever. Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Completely. Yeah. And I think if schools understood that, it would really help. You know,
well, it's about flipping the language, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. Instead of making the child the problem,
yeah,
it's where they're coming from that is something that needs to be addressed. Yeah.
What's going on for them or the school? You know, the school is being at school is the issue. He's all right. He's happy at home. It's the stress of when he's in school, and yet, you know, it's because of the history of everything that's gone on. You know, that is making this school a struggle. Because if we could get over that fear and anxiety of what has passed, then, because that's not happening now, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah, so it's like living in the present rather than thinking about what's gone before, but that isn't easy, right? So in terms of then? Where's the successes come? Is it because he's had a champion, or is it because people are more willing to be flexible? What do you think that difference is between a school that kind of doesn't get it and a school that maybe does get it a bit better? What would you identify as being those characteristics?
Well, I wonder if they have more specific training in secondary, or they're just getting more volume of children, so they're getting more experience of it. I'm not really sure, but it was the secondary school that are really getting it and pulling it out the bat, or trying to, there's the ideas and the support, they're really going with it. Whereas, obviously I've worked with our kids for so long, so I would sometimes offer ideas out and it would just not be done or go whoosh. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm not just alluding who's
You've been working within autism, the realm of autism, for 20 years. Yeah.
So I do think there's a lot to do with the training and maybe the volume of kids, so they're just seeing a lot more of it, and also the ages. So we know that it all starts to become more apparent, and well, I guess it can at all different ages it becomes challenging in different ways, but
sometimes
often,
the gaps become clearer, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. So
9, 10.
I've worked with our kids on the spectrum for so long, but with Ben, so I was kind of suspecting it from when he was maybe 3, but I still wasn't quite sure because it wasn't clear cut and it wasn't, and of course, because all our kids are so different, right? And they all present in different ways and find different things a challenge. But I think autism awareness, my gosh, if you could just I don't know, I think schools need a whole massive almost like a checklist that, it's like, well, they could do this or that you can't define. You can't.
Well, this is why it's funny, because when I went to the school that you were talking about, that Ben went to before, and I went to do some awareness training, I tend to always say, actually, I'm not here as an autism expert. What I'm here to do is just make you think differently, like make you just feel more confident to be able to look at every individual child and say, what do they need, and give it to them. So it almost isn't autism awareness that they need. It's like the compassion and bravery to say, no, we don't have to treat everybody the same, actually. And that's what a lot of, I think, primary schools really struggle with. I've had lots of conversations with head teachers who say things like, well, we can't be seen to be treating them differently.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? They are different. Yeah. Why would you not? That's how you level the playing field. It's not about what other parents think it's about the child. And as a team, you should be confident enough to be creative and step on steps. And it doesn't matter if the child's not in the same classroom and doing the same thing at exactly the same time as everyone else, or wearing the same thing, or whatever it is. The thing that Gina said there about the lack of options, one of our long-term parents, hi Gina, is a thing that also really people kind of forget. So something else that I'll always say when sometimes I'll be called in to train or do some inclusion awareness with, say, for example, TAs, so teaching assistants, rather than just teachers or just, midday supervisors. And the thing that I will say is that, say, I'll just pick a random, I need to pick a name that nobody knows. So Helen, I say, look, Helen and her mum would love for her not to be at the school. Helen and her mum would love for there to be an ideal school for that child. But they don't have a choice. They can't go to a special needs school. They can't get all the SEN support because they're too high functioning, they're too academically capable, whatever it might be. They don't fit, or they may not even be able to qualify for an EHC plan. So they don't have a choice. They are here, and they may be a pain in your backside, but you've got to work with them. And once people start realising, actually, there isn't anywhere for the grey area kids, that we can start to really think outside the box within the mainstream.
And if a primary school will make adaptations for a physical disability, they will put in a ramp or a lift.
Easy, because you throw some money at
it. Adaptation for someone on the spectrum that needs something different.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. I think we do a lot of sort of works with schools and discussions and things. And I also think that awareness within the school should be for the other children and parents too. I feel that there's not enough sort of said, you know, kid is just branded as a naughty kid or a different. Let's talk about what differences we have within our school and our community, and let's raise awareness. You know, I'm sure if half the parents knew that actually kid X is having a really tough time, has never been invited to a party, you're going to go, hang on a minute, that's not on. We can do something about that as a society. We can change that. Whereas some have never been invited to a party, have never gone to a date. All the
and even worse, have been subjected to bullying by other parents, or have their parents say to them, your child shouldn't be at this school. Well, I know they shouldn't, but they are. And so therefore, let's all work together, like Sarah says, as a community to support them.
That's it. And if everyone is aware, then everyone's in it. Like, because I think working with Casper for so long, so when Ben was little and I knew what could be coming friendship wise and, you know, isolation, all that business, and I can spot, you know, we have our autism or neurodiverse radar on, right? And I could see the kids who are not necessarily playing with, getting invited or joining play. So I would invite them around to play dates, you know. So a lot of Benjamin's, you know, he's got a little close-knit group of friends, and most of them are neurodiverse in one way or another. And you know, and because I couldn't bear that they wouldn't have what everyone else has had, and also I knew it would help them, you know.
Yeah, and I think as a human, you know, that's all you want is to find your place, whether that be at home, in school, in society. To find your place is such a big thing for us all. You know, I remember when I first became a mum, like you're thrown into this whole new world of, whoa, I'm now mum. And then I got to meet other mums, and I began to find my place as a mum and how I would continue. And you just think, these kids, you know, they need to find their place and they need to be supported. And we need to share the knowledge, the love for each and every difference. You know, and I really feel powerful about that. I speak to my kids' schools a lot about it. And, you know, it shouldn't be whispers in the playground. It shouldn't be, oh, they're a bit different. No, let's talk about it. Let's just out there. Let's ask all these questions, which is for, you know, why we want to do the autism awareness, and say, let's talk about this. Let's not hide. Oh, Lizzie. Oh, Lizzie's from my school. I love you, Lizzie.
Here's a super mum. That's so true.
Lizzie's got a wonderful, wonderful daughter who's doesn't fit in that box that fits in the school peg hole. But yeah. But sorry, anyway, Miranda. So as a parent, you said that your son was bullied and you heard, you know, things like spastic and really derogatory, offensive, horrid words being said. Now, obviously, that's probably stuck with Ben. And you in some ways.
Well, yeah, it was the word retard, and I when I heard that, you know, and I emailed the headmaster, and you know, he was horrified and all that jazz, but actually then it was never addressed. I don't know, but equally it's really hard because they hear this and then they pick it up, which really I find upsetting. You know, if will then use a term like that sometimes when he's angry to his brother or whatever, and I'll be like, you can't talk like that, it's unacceptable, you don't like, you know, he knows that it's that anger because it's been said, and that's what it gets bandied about. When I first heard that, I was like, oh my goodness, I remember kids saying that to each other when I was a kid. It's such an old fashioned term. And then I was really shocked to find out actually it gets used and people use it in gaming and all sorts. And it's just, you know, I don't know. I just find it so, I get really upset and offended by it. But sometimes I have to kind of let it go, because when you're making them do it, then gets worse, you know. And he says, I do know about, you know, and I wouldn't do it to anyone and nothing. Oh, but his little brother gets it, you know. Sometimes it's horrible.
Yeah, and the thing is, though, you know, generally children are lovely, right? Children are kind, compassionate, and they always want to help the one who's struggling. And like Spectrum Gaming is saying there, you know, peer education, like Sarah said, the more you go into schools, or you get young people together and you help them to understand everybody's different, then they're so kind. Like, it turns it around. I've seen it we all have seen it time and time again. Why is that person behaving like they are? Well, because they feel scared. Why is that person behaving like they are? Because they're, and then children are just incredible. I mean, I sit around the table, I've got 4 of them. I sit around the table sometimes, I think, oh my goodness, if these guys could run the country, compassion wins every time. I mean, about all the environmental stuff, which they all know much better than us, but I do think that yes, children can be mean, but also at the heart of them, we know why they're behaving like that, because ours behave like that sometimes, like you just said. Like, they're all on an, it's like, we don't need to vilify the bullies or anyone else. It's a case of just, peer education, and like Sarah's saying, encourage them all to look at each other and go, oh, why are they behaving like that, rather than, Rebecca said bullying.
Yeah, and
well, he was never ever bullied at his first school. Sorry,
No.
he wasn't bullied at all at his first school. There was more understanding, and he'd grown up with them all, and there were a lot of physical disabilities there as well. So, which generally, I think made a kinder group of kids. But
if you think back to when kids are in preschool, there's always a kid that's crying at the door that doesn't want to leave their parent.
My child.
Yeah, but you'll always see at least one other toddler walk up and say, "Come on, John, come with me."
Yeah.
It's a very natural instinct, isn't it? And Gina said here that people are afraid of what they don't understand. And I think as a nation, as a society, we're very scared of saying the wrong thing or offending someone. So therefore we don't say anything. And that's where we need to stand up and go, actually, hang on a minute. Let's all talk. Let's talk openly. We can't be offensive if we're saying, I don't understand. I'd love some understanding. Please, help me.
Yeah. So that's an interesting one, Becky, actually, because you're afraid of bullying for your kids, and something which we've had, year after year at Caspar, we sit in meetings and we hear about children that are being treated in a certain way or whatever, and we look at each other like, how can we affect change? How can we help what's going on at home? Or how can we stop what's happening at school happening to them? But do you know what? Sometimes the answer is, while we can work, we can't. And there will always be things that happen to them which are not okay. There will always be people who would treat them in an unacceptable manner. So what we can do is build their resilience, or make them understand that they can cope. So once we build them up and focus on them, then they can look at others and go, oh, they're not behaving, they feel even worse than me. Like, we all know our children can behave badly, but when we look at other people's children, sometimes we judge them instead of looking at why they're doing it. So the bullies are the ones who. So it's like, it's a cycle, isn't it? We all need to be aware, but we all need to build up all of the children's resilience, or enable them to feel it.
Definitely.
And help them understand why the bully is, where the bully's coming from. Like, I talked with Ben, a little boy that used to do it, and I mean, this boy had some horrible stuff going on in his life, and I said, it's only because he's hurting. I'm doing this to you because he's hurting, so just be kind. That's all I could say.
It's not easy when a child themselves is hurt. It's not easy for a child to go, oh yes, I'm being bullied, but I'm going to be the strong. That's not easy.
I'm going to be bullied for you.
Yeah.
But I also think what's really sort of powerful in all of this is the peer support for parents as well, together. Like, in this lockdown, we've really, Caspar started its own parent support group, and it's a lifeline for many.
It is, and for me, it's been brilliant.
Yeah, to know you're not alone.
Yes, completely, because you have all your friends on the school run, or that you've grown up with, and your family, but unless you're living in it, you don't get it completely. You can't feel how it feels. It's completely to be on this parent support group, whether I'm running it or popping in just because I need to go blah. It's so good, because I never for 1 minute thought I would have a what was the term again? Emotional school avoidance child. I've forgotten the term.
I'm trying to find
Gaming.
it.
Yeah. Who thinks they're going to have a child who can't make school, can't face school that day? You just, they're so rare. I never thought I would have a child, that would struggle in that way, because school was never an issue for me. I was fine with it.
Yeah.
Just got on. That's what you did. Got on. Crap day, good day. Do it. So yeah, be on this group and find, oh my gosh, there's like 3 or 4 other parents who are going through the same kind of thing right now. It's like, and you can share stuff and help each other, and everyone's going through things that you've been through or you're not yet. Someone else has. Everyone helps each other, supports each other, gives ideas of what you could do. It's just
gives you an idea of what's going on beyond your world, right? So if you're stuck, especially you feel like you're the only one, or you're so isolated. If you're stuck in your own world of everybody else's child goes to school, what the hell? What is wrong with me? What is wrong with mine? And all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, what have I done?
It needs me to do. Like, I need to have my child in school, and they need to be doing their homework, and they need to be wearing uniform. If you're stuck in that, and then you look outside, or you meet people who are like, well, I'm the same. You're like, oh, kind of just relieve that. Like, actually, who says they have to do these things? There's other ways of children that they can learn and develop. And like you say, your child is an incredible human being. And I love the fact he's going to be fine, because we also know he's going to be fine, right? Because he's a really decent, incredible, intelligent human being. And just because he doesn't fit into a very, very tight, mainstream education system couldn't be much more kind of, for a certain group of children, really. You feed someone else and it can just release that pain of I'm alone in this.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
And what I love about there's no judgment.
Sorry,
whereas when we spoke with lots of parents before at Casper, and as a parent you feel judged in many ways, and lots of parents with kids with additional needs will get the come here at the school gate from the teacher, and the walk of shame, and your child's done this, your child's done that. Not actually, what is it your child needs? What's missing? And I think when you're on the group, that there is no judgment. You can literally put out there, my child has smeared poo from top to bottom, and everyone go, right, okay, we'll roll our sleeves up, we're coming around to help, or have you tried this, have you tried that? And that is paramount for just the importance of parents being together, because it is hard. And, Miranda, yourself, relationships with other siblings, with husbands, with wives, with grandparents, it's if you're not in it, they don't necessarily get it.
Yeah,
forever explaining yourself is hard work, and explaining your child.
Yeah, which is the power of community, right? And it comes back to that very basic fact that we've gone so far from. Really, in the olden days, our grandparents lived in the same road, and aunts, and it's kind of creating what we know humans really need, which is community.
Yeah. And you can stand in the playground and you can hear people talk about other people's children, and for me, it's it's like red rag to a bull. And I just think we just need to be brave and ask the questions, because I think we'd all rather answer questions about our children and their differences or their needs, or why they're not that round peg that fits in that round hole, and let's work together to really challenge this and change this. Just no invites.
Just what you said earlier, what Gina's saying.
Just not getting invited around for tea.
It's so tough,
as a human. Even with no training, no awareness.
I remember Ben saying to me, I can't remember how old he was, and he went, I don't really get invited to parties anymore, Mummy. And I said, well, that kind of happens as you get a bit older. People just have smaller parties. I said, and actually, you only like your certain friends at your parties now, don't you? He said, oh, yeah, okay. So he was all right with that. And then recently, part of wanting him to go to the school he's going to is because he could walk around the corner, walk with a close friend. I thought that'd be so good for his mental health, make him want to go. But you know, his friend's lovely, but he is, you know, they're kind of going like that because the interests obviously are not the same anymore. And so the other day, Ben will meet him sometimes and walk with him with his friend from his class. And I said one day, I said, "Oh, are you going to go and meet your friend?" And he went, "No, I'm just going to go. And if I see him, I see him." And I was so proud because I thought, oh, you know, I thought all that time, I thought he needed that to get him to school and to be okay. But actually, he can just do it himself. I was really proud that day. Then we got undone when he got to school. So he got
Baby steps,
We
isn't
often
it?
underestimate our kids, though, don't we, as well? But just because we're so worried for them.
Yes.
And then when we
Rose,
actually get, yeah,
Rose has just put something that for me as a parent, you know, of a child, seeing your child struggles with others, they're so true. And then, but as a community, this is where we all need to stand and go, okay, that kid is struggling. If that was
Yeah,
my
right.
child, I'd want this, I'd want that. And we all need to just be that person. Let's not
That's
hide.
it.
And you know,
No.
like Gina
Right
said,
now,
stand,
play.
yeah, standing alone in the playground, you know, that's not, it's not okay. We all know that that's not okay, and we all know that we would hate for that to be us. Sometimes, yes, we probably would like to for that 2-minute peace and quiet.
That's me normally, is hiding in the corner.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, like I know Helen won't mind me saying this. Like my 2 children at school are perfect round holes that fit in perfect round pegs. I'm very lucky on that respect. Well, I don't know if I'm lucky or not, really, to be fair. But whereas Helen's got a son who has struggled quite a lot at school. And Helen's had the come here to conversation.
Oh, every single day. Even now, he's on report, and he's been on report for the whole of year 8. I mean, what is the point of? What is the point?
He hasn't even been at school in year 8, really, has he?
But it is. Do you know what though? I think probably through my experiences of Casper, and being just a very strong-minded person anyway, I feel like I can separate myself from the pain. That sounds really weird, but I've just made the decision, and you know, his dad also, just to push him through. I've had times in primary, and I agree with you, Miranda, that primary is way more painful. Where I was like, I need to just homeschool him. I just need to take him out every day, no matter what he's done, which is amazing. He comes out that door with a red stamp on his head saying, "Bad day. Bad day. Oh, he had a bad day," or he's got a red card or a red point. And then I'll speak to another teacher to go, "Oh, I won't say his name, but Jay did this amazing thing. He was really kind to Tom and da-da-da." And I'm like, well, why hasn't he got a good day stamp? Why has he got a bad day for the thing that he's done, which is bad? And I felt like I just pushed him through like a sausage in a factory in primary school. When they rang me and said, "Oh, he's doing the worm on the classroom floor," get him off the floor, get him off the floor. But, you know, it's like, what am I when I'm not? Anyway, I've done like, it's been painful. Every day was painful for him at primary. And I think with secondary, I think it is the school that they can be a bit more flexible. But also the social environment, like I feel like it's better in some ways because you are going to find a weirdo like you, or you are going to, like, you know what I mean?
Well, the problem is,
play Minecraft at lunchtime or whatever. It just feels like there's just a little bit more in for you. And then you've got your pound in your pocket, and I know he wants to go and get a Monster, even though he's too young, from the shop on the way home. Or, do you know what I mean? It's like it gives him a little bit more of a life than primary school can, because primary school is just all about the classroom, all about whether you're behaving in PE, and all about what you're doing at break time. Whereas secondary, I think, just can provide a bit more flexibility.
I was just going to say, hopefully it will when, you know, everything's open, because at the moment, when Ben is there, they're having every class in the same room. The teachers are coming to them. They can't move around unless they go to the loo. And they have to go out at break time or lunchtime and sit in their class bubble on the AstroTurf, and they can't mix with any other children, just their class. So, yeah, so there's kind of that freedom hasn't happened yet, but I know once he can, that will help so much, you know. I don't feel like everyone's watching me come in and out, because everyone will be going in and out, you know.
Yeah. A lot more. I think it's also up to us, isn't it, to develop that mindset. So I have developed the mindset that I could have taken him out and homeschooled him, but I don't want to. I don't have to. I would be rubbish. I'm not going to. So unfortunately, me and you, Joe, like I say to him, you've got to go through this pack. We've got to go through it. You are different. You are going to struggle. You can't sit down and write like everyone else. But really got a choice, right? So let's just get through it together in the very best way. And sometimes when they do think, I'll laugh. I just think, well, I'll help the school as much as I can. But ultimately, when he's there, they have to do what we do at Caspar and be creative. Look at the child, find out what they need and give it to them. And very often I say to the school, I know you don't want to hear this, and I'm really sorry to tell you this, but when he's with you, he is your problem. You are going to have to be creative. Because I can't come and sit in the classroom with him.
Do you know what?
I feel more powerful in that way.
Yeah, no.
I'm going to be upset by it.
Yeah, but you're right. And they need to kind of take ownership, and because that is their job to provide the education and to do it in the way that suits that child, right? Yeah. And I get called up a bit like with Jonah. I was always getting that with my younger son, who I'm thinking is, a bit of a Jonah fish, actually. And I got called over the other day, a couple of days ago, and he said his teacher said he's been really struggling since I've been back. And the other day, today, he didn't write anything, not got anything written down, not done anything, and he was doing so well. And I said, so what have you thought to do that might help him then? And he's like, I said, because we're finding at home, we were finding that in lockdown. I said, and I have been thinking about maybe a wobble cushion to help him focus when he's doing stuff. And I thought about getting one at the dining table to maybe help him. I said, because he still jumps up and down instead of sitting and eating a meal. I said, have you got a wobble cushion maybe at school? Anyway, literally, I got home and I got an email within 10 minutes and I found him a wobble cushion, got his fidget toy, and I just thought, yeah, come on.
Nice.
Yeah, it was the first time I kind of had a response where it was like, okay, we'll try that. Primary school, normally it's like, oh, it's that.
And we're just telling you, it's like they're just passing over the information.
Yeah. So what am I going to do about that? It's like, what can you do in the class? Yeah. So
if you compare it to Caspar, Miranda, when things happen at Caspar with children, we deal with it. Unless it's or something really difficult, and we might say to the parent, this has happened today. But as a matter of course, we're not doing the walk of shame. No. We're not doing the, your child did this today. No, we dealt with it.
Yeah.
Like we don't need to impart constantly that your child is bad. It's making it difficult for us. Like you said, Miranda, it's our job. We chose to work with children so that we can help them in life. Like, not painful, fun.
Like Lizzie said, I'm very tempted to go and sit in the classroom at the moment. The things my daughter is doing lately, it's hard when it's obviously more of a struggle for them at school. Yeah, but you shouldn't have to go and sit in the classroom. There should be, why are they not pairing these children up with other children that could possibly support them? Why are they, them thinking outside the box? Right, something's happened. Your child's doing this. We need to try and, change this behavior, or sometimes they do get into habits of calling out and things like that. Like, let's work together. You shouldn't have to go and sit in the classroom.
And what's interesting, Lizzie, you use the language, the things your daughter is doing, when actually all she's doing is responding to the environment, right? Yeah. And that is something that as adults that work with children, we need to take responsibility for. Or even at home, our kids are only responding to the environment we've created. Yeah. So that's that kind of like, she is doing things which maybe aren't acceptable or maybe irritating for the rest of the class or whatever it might be. But there's a reason why she's doing it. Yeah. And that's what they need to get to.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think as well,
sorry.
For Caspar. Sorry, go on, Helen.
No, I just wanted to just note this, what Gina said, which is beautiful. And we were trying to stay positive as well as.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
He asked why he felt so lonely and had no friends. Every time I said in response, it will happen. You will have lovely friends. And then last year he said to me, Mum, you're right. It's my turn to have friends.
Yeah, love that. And I think as well, what lockdowns taught us all as well is, so Caspar, for those of you who don't know, have gone online, and we're able to access a lot more people. And we've had lots of messages about how their child finds skills that they fit, whether we're playing Among Us, whether we're playing Kahoot, whether we're doing a drawing session, anime session. People are accessing and finding people that truly get them and accept them. Young people, older people, us, you know, everyone. And that's really powerful. So even if you're not in the Bromley Borough, please, because you can join our Zooms. And if Miranda's managed, your son now has...
Yes, he would never engage, he wouldn't ever come to Casper. And then with lockdown, he wouldn't engage in any of the Zooms. But my gosh, when we started Pokemon, he actually came on last week. Because I got him helping me, thinking about what we could do, and he told me what site we could use that everyone could play on.
You need an expert, Miranda. You need an expert.
That's it. And then he helped me make teams, and then he reminded him of how much he used to love playing it, and now he's playing it a lot more again. He wants to play with Helen's son.
Ona said he wants to play. Yeah, he wants to play definitely.
Brilliant. So yeah, so it's really, I'm just so pleased, because I think this will open a world of friendship for him, you know, because you know, as happens, they can dwindle, you know. So it will be so lovely for him to know he's with people who are not going to judge him, who have the same stuff going on, you know, because that's his big thing. He feels like he can't trust anyone. If they find out that he's on the spectrum, he's going to be bullied or whatever. And so to know that, you know, all these kids have got stuff going on, or brothers or sisters that have got, you know, and actually it's a play and it's a safe place. And hopefully give him more confidence to realise, because he says, I've had conversations, he says, I know it's okay. I know it's just who I am, but other people don't understand, Mummy.
So yeah, being around people that do understand will then give him that extra
totally. Exactly.
Everyone's in the same boat.
Yeah. And we know that, we see that when people come through our doors to the clubs, don't we? You know, I mean, the parent that's managed to get them there, you know, and that's another thing people don't get. You're not stopping them, and you're not mollycoddling them, and you're not, when you cannot get a child there, you cannot get them there, you know. So it's wonderful when they make that step, and then they come in and they're like, oh my gosh, and they love it. I love it. Us
back to the whole peer support, isn't it? Like Ben came on, he's found a friend instantly. They've got an interest, want to play together. That's powerful. As a parent, you can say, my son's done his first Zoom, and other parents go, oh my goodness. It's powerful. You know, that feeling you'll get when you know, we often message about things that happen in the session and any of our sessions and good things, and we'll say to parents, oh my goodness, your child had their camera on today, and they're just like, oh my goodness,
time ever.
Yeah, it's so incredible.
Oh, I just love it. I know we'll geek out about this, but you know, Miranda, the sort of child you just described, he will come in the Casper door where, say, we're at the Ling, and just stand by the door the first week and then go early, and then the next week mum will come in and sit with them at a table and do some drawing while they're looking around and seeing, and then it's that gradual thing. I've had a recent situation where the parent was like, I really want this young person to be involved in the session on Zoom. They're a bit scared, blah blah blah. I said, don't worry about it, just put it on in the background as if it's like a radio station, so they can hear all the other young people. So just have it on, don't worry if they're not even in the room or whatever, just have it on. And then it started like that. Next week I think mum came on for a bit just to ask some questions and chat, and then next week they left a bit early, the next week they just like whatever, and then there's been about 6 sessions maybe. The young person put a question in the chat, and I was just like, yes. And so then obviously I can refer to like, oh, so-and-so just asked this question, what do people think? And then they came on the microphone and they started chatting, and I was just like, oh, it was just beautiful. It was just so Casper translated into Zoom. Do you know what I mean? It was just, we've got
exactly. They know there's no pressure. It's like Ben said, have I got to have my camera on when he came on? And I said, no, not at all. It's fine. So he and another boy didn't have their cameras on, but he spoke, and I just did not think he would, and that was just wonderful. I know. It's great. And then, I put them in the rooms, and then you go in and check how they're getting on, and he was chatting with him, and I was oh, like, trying to be all cool. Okay, yeah, you're all right, boys. All right, I'll just go and see how the others are. Yes.
Turn off the camera.
Yeah. So as we're sort of getting to near school time, we're all going to have to do school pickups.
I've got to go in a minute.
Hello, Miranda, what would you like to say to other parents? What, if you got a message you'd like to say, or awareness you'd love people to know, or anything like that?
Oh my goodness. That it will be okay. That however dark your day might feel, or your stomach might hit the floor, or your head, or whatever, however low, actually it will pass. You will get through it. Your child will get through it, and it is okay. And they are the way they are, and embrace that and go with it, and just take every little thing step by step, because it will be okay. That's what I have to say.
Such a powerful message.
Thank you, Miranda.
Yeah, thank you. So I just want to say, obviously, Miranda, you've been incredible from the parents' point of view. We're on all week at all different times. We've got siblings, we've got from the eyes, people with autism, we've got a bit of everything. So from a gentleman who was diagnosed later on in life, please come and ask questions, share these posts. They should stay on Facebook and they'll also be on YouTube. Let's really, really work together to raise awareness. So thank you so much, and see you all later.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Yes, jazz hand wave.